Good morning. Let's do this. Time for another practice session. So this is just the second practice session this week, just like last week. Actually, it was my goal to practice 3 times every single week, but last week life got in the way. We are still moving to the new house with lots of work there. This week we also have some extra stuff coming up at the Drum Team Academy, so I only got time to practice 2 times this week. But nonetheless, actually I'm even more excited to get to practice than in comparison to when I have time to practice 3 times per week, because I only got those 2 sessions and I want to make the most out of them. So today I'm going to push the tempo with the Tamo Iron Cobra Junior pedals. Today is going to be all about foot position on the footboard, so I'm going to talk about that a little later. But before I do, just one more thing. I wanted to say thank you to everyone that's watching and that's following me on that road to 300 BPM journey. I want to thank you for your comments, your encouraging comments, and especially wanted to tell you that it's really exciting when I see comments like, okay, this motivated me to start practicing again as well. Or now I'm going to push either the tempo, endurance, double bass control, whatever. All of that is really exciting for me. So thank you so much for your feedback. So back to today's big topic, which is foot position. This one is crucial when it comes to the ankle technique. So as most of you might know, every pedal has this certain sweet spot on the footboard. When you find that sweet spot, you will immediately feel that it's easier to play, to keep the beta swing going, to play for long periods of time while being relaxed. So most of the time, that sweet spot is right in the middle of the footboard, somewhere in the middle of the footboard. Now with the ankle technique, if you want to slow down, then basically all you have to do is move your foot a bit further back on the footboard. And the difficulty with this one is, of course, you have to get used to this new foot position. It feels a bit different. It's not that easy to control at first, but you will see that, number 1, the beta swing will automatically increase. And number 2, the tempo will automatically slow down a bit when you're moving your foot back on the footboard. And you get the exact opposite effect if you move your foot further to the front of the footboard. You will see that the beta swing will decrease, number 1, and number 2, the tempo will automatically increase. And again, with this foot position, you also have to get used to that one. And especially when you're placing your feet further to the front of the footboard, it sometimes feels like your pedal wants to run away and it's increasing the speed, increasing. And if you're playing to a click track and you feel like, okay, I'm playing too fast right now, then I wouldn't worry too much about the muscle group you're using if you're using just your calves with the ankle technique. I would first try to just change the foot position on the footboard to slow down and play tight to the click. So for today's workout, I want to push the tempo, but also today I'm going to switch back and forth between different note rates. So I'm going to start at 160, playing 60 notes, 8th note triplets, 60 note triplets, maybe 60 note triplets, let's wait and see. Then increasing to 170, 180, so 10 BPM increments, and up to 230 BPM. That's the final goal. If 220 feels good, then I will go up to 230. And I will only play for 2.5 minutes at each tempo. So this is, again, a 20-minute workout routine, pushing the tempo a little bit, and also switching back and forth between different note rates. In the past workouts, actually most of the time I stick to 1 or 2 note rates. Most of the time it was 8th notes to 60 notes. And I have to tell you, throughout the years of teaching, in the past I was a fan of timetable exercises. And not really a fan, but I gave the advice, just like so many other drum teachers out there, just give the advice to practice timetables. But actually what I can tell you after coaching so many drummers at the academy is that timetable exercises are not the right thing to do for someone who's not 100% used to a certain technique. But I will talk about timetables in another video. Today is all about the foot position on the footboard. So let's do this. I'm excited. I'm gonna see you in the rehearsal room at the drums. Let's do this. Back at the drums, 160 BPM, the starting tempo. Again, the goal for today is to get up to 230 beats per minute within the next 20 minutes. Main focus point today is the position of my foot on the footboard. So in the beginning, you will see at 160, I'm somewhere back here. So actually I can even see the Tama, the brand name right here at 160. At around 180, I'm gonna move my foot to this position. And for tempos higher than, I think, 210, 220, it's gonna be somewhere around here. So let's see that one in action. Again, today is going to be quick, so it's going to be short demonstrations because I'm only playing for 2.5 minutes at each tempo. And I'm going to switch between different note rates. Eighth notes, eighth note triplets, 16 notes, and so on. So let's start at 160. So done at 160. One thing that's happened to me quite often is when I'm playing at those tempos at 160, where I can also play 60-note triplets. And 160 would be 60 notes at 240. When I'm warming up, actually that's not the right time to play 60-note triplets because it's not tight, I'm not there yet, I'm not ready yet. And still, I always find myself trying and it's not super tight, but I'm getting there. So now let's continue with 170. 170 is even easier to control, moving my foot a little bit further to the footboard. So those of you that have the exact same pedal at home, at 170, I see like maybe 50% of the logo right here. The rest is covered by my foot right now. And yeah, that one felt easy and good. And actually really good news is as well, my left ankle is feeling way, way better right now. So maybe practicing 2 times per week isn't that bad at all if you got an injury. Now let's continue with 180. 180 felt good as well. With these pedals right now and these pedal settings, actually when I have to play for longer periods of time, I see that I still like to keep my foot back here because I got way more leverage and the beat is swinging constant back and forth without the need of me investing a lot of energy into keeping the beat swing going. So on to 190. Done with 190. A fun little side note here is that, and maybe you out there can relate to this, my right foot, like right now I played at 190 beats per minute. This tempo is like perfect for my right foot, can play at that tempo forever. For my left foot actually, this is not like the most comfortable tempo for me. So if I'm not focused, then I can see that my beta swing decreases automatically. My left foot feels more comfortable at higher tempos, starting at 210. And also at those lower tempos, so I'm talking about 170, 160 when I'm climbing down the BPM ladder with the ankle technique, 150 and 140, actually the left foot works way better. With the right foot at 190, it's just way stronger. So it's kind of interesting that after years of playing, still although I can play at that tempo with both feet, it's still not feeling exactly the same. I always have like one foot that's working perfectly at that tempo and the other one is just a little bit behind. Maybe that's just the way it is. Let's continue with 200. Done with 200 BPM, I can see that my feet start to move more and more to the front of the footboard to stay relaxed, which is exactly how I want it to be. So that one felt good. So let's continue with 210 beats per minute. Now, every time when I practice right now and I pass those 200 beats per minute and increase the tempo, that's like the key point in time for me during the workout to see if I'm feeling good that day or not, if I'm able to relax or if I have to push hard. And especially at higher tempos, if you feel that you have to push at those higher tempos, then it's not going to be, at least for me, it's not going to be a really good practice session, because the faster you go, I've learned this for myself, the faster I go, the more I have to relax. And if I'm not able to completely relax, then it's gonna be, I have to push through, yes, but with the ankle injury, I don't want to push through. But today, 210 felt relaxed, so that is awesome. So let's go to 220. And I think if 220 is also right, then we're gonna go to 230 right now, which would be awesome, of course. So yeah, now I'm really happy. 220 was good. I was relaxed, and also really interesting, at 220, and actually that's not that surprising, but I still want to mention it, at 220 beats per minute. When I'm playing 60 notes, my feet are placed around this on the footboard. When I'm switching to 16-note triplets, when I'm switching to 8th note triplets, so a slower double bass tempo, then I'm gonna move my feet back to this position right here. Sometimes you don't have enough time to move your feet from the front position to the back or the other way around. So it's also a good idea to get used to the beta swing. And this is kind of a more advanced topic, but you want to be able to play at certain tempos on almost every position on the footboard. Yes, I automatically switch back for those. In comparison to the 8th notes with my right foot when I place my foot further to the front. But if my foot is placed around the middle, then I still can play both subdivision, but it's just way more exhausting. I cannot relax as much at the higher tempos, and I have to be really focused at the slower tempos. But just to demonstrate, let's demonstrate the same thing with the foot position in the middle. And now increasing the tempo and staying at the same position, or like leaving my foot on the same position on the footboard. You can immediately see that I have to focus and push into the pedal and work way harder in comparison to, which is way more relaxed. So 220 felt good, enough of the talking, 230 beats per minute. Yes, 230 BPM. Now I'm really happy with that one. I was able to stay relaxed, but I can also feel that this is still uncommon ground, working my way back up the BPM ladder. So it's gonna take some more practice sessions, but actually, with this kind of pedal, if you buy this old Tama Iron Cobra Junior pedal, which they don't even sell this one anymore. If you buy it used, you get this for $50 to $100. And it still works great. It's just an awesome pedal. Yes, I have to work way harder in comparison to the Axis pedals, but still, the pedal feels great, easy to control. So I'm really happy with that one and how this turned out at 230 BPM. So that's it for this practice session. Let's get back to the car and do a little practice session recap right there. And that's it for today's practice session. Not every practice session is like that. But this one made me really happy. Actually, it's funny, I talked about this topic with my wife just yesterday. And we've talked about this in the past as well, but I repeated the one thing that I said to her in the past already, which was, I wish that every person on this planet finds something, just his or her passion, that he or she enjoys doing as much as I enjoy playing drums. I just wish this to everyone out there, because if you got a passion or an activity that is not draining you of energy, but actually gives you energy. Yes, it takes me energy to play double bass, but it's not as exhausting as it looks. And after a practice session like today, I'm not feeling exhausted. I'm excited. This gives me energy and I'm stoked, and I'm looking forward to the next practice session. And I also hope that next week I got time to practice 3 times per week, not just 2 times. But let's wait and see. And if all of those practice sessions are like the ones that I had today, then I'm a super happy camper. Final thoughts regarding the foot position. It sounds really easy and simple to, just slide your feet further back on the footboard or further to the front to decrease or increase the tempo. But actually, the feeling of the pedal changes when you change the foot position. So you got to get used to different foot positions. So if you're able to control that twitching motion already, if your foot placed on the sweet spot of the pedal, then just spend some extra time sliding your feet further back and further to the front of the footboard, and just try to get used to that feeling, because it is a different feeling. And one more thing about foot position, with the Tama Iron Cobra Junior pedals that I'm using right now, actually you have the Tama logo on there, and with that one, actually it's a bit more difficult to move your feet to the front or further back in comparison to a completely flat and slippery footboard like the one from Axis. Yes, you have the Axis logo, but still it's easier to move your foot further to the front or to the back on other pedals that basically have no logo, any printing on the footboard. But also, although it's a bit harder to move your feet further to the front or further back, on the other hand, actually once you're at the exact right position, it's way easier to lock in with the footboard, and because you just have more friction. So all of these things have advantages or disadvantages. If you got a footboard that's really slippery, then you can always apply some skateboard grip tape to add some additional resistance. But in the long run, once you're used to the ankle technique and different positions of your foot on the footboard, then you won't need it any longer. So I want to end this episode of the 300 BPM challenge with a quote from James Clear, which is, "The person who's having the most fun wins." I'm not really sure if the quote's from him. I just got it on his email newsletter. So if you're not subscribed to that, I think it's called 321 newsletter. There's always one quote in there every single week, and this one is 100% true. The person who's having the most fun wins. And if you're lucky to enjoy most of your practice sessions, I'm not saying every single practice session, because sometimes when you're having a bad day, it's just not that much fun to practice double bass. But if you're having good practice sessions most of the time and you're having a lot of fun, then you will win in the long run, always. And that's it for today's episode. I'm looking forward to see you next week. Have a great day. Cheers from Vienna. Bye bye.